everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I decided I would show you guys how to make lapsi. Now lapsi is a sweet that's usually found at Hindu prayer services. It's usually made as an offering to Mother Durga. So if you wanted to eat lapsi, you'd have to go ahead and make some puri with it, which I have on my channel. I just posted that video. Or you could also eat it with the Dosti Roti that I posted a while back. Now this recipe is super special to me because this recipe is from my great-grandmother. She taught my grandmother how to make this, who then taught my aunt how to make this, and now I know how to make it. So this one's really special. Give them some love in the comments down below when you're done watching, and I really hope you guys enjoy this video. The ingredients that I need to make my lapsi today are actually quite basic, and you should have most of them on hand already. I have some all-purpose flour, I also have some whole milk, and I have some evaporated milk or carnation milk. Now you could go ahead and use all whole milk for this, or you could use all evaporated milk for this, or you could split it up like I'm doing. I also have some ghee, and I have some raisins that I've soaked in some water for about 20 minutes prior to making my lapsi, and I have some granulated sugar. The first step in making my lapsi is to go ahead and parch my flour. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my flour and I'm going to put it into this dry pot here that I've been heating up on a medium heat. You do not want to go any higher than this or else your flour will burn. The whole goal is just to cook the flour. You do not want to get any brown color because, as you know, lapsi is white in color. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it cook in this pot here, and I'm going to keep stirring for about 15 minutes or just until that flour gets very light in texture. When flour has parched correctly, it'll get very light in texture, and that's how you know it's done. After about 15 minutes, you're going to see that your flour has become very light in texture. By that, I mean that it's not as heavy as it was when you first put it into the pot. So as you stir it, you're going to feel that it's become lighter on your hand. So what I'm going to go ahead and do at this point is I'm going to go ahead and put this flour through my fine mesh strainer. Now when making lapsi, one of the main goals is to not have it be lumpy at all. So I'm trying to avoid lumps at all costs by straining it during certain stages in making my lapsi. So I'm going to go ahead and put this through the fine mesh strainer, and I'm going to show you guys the next step. I'm going to tell you guys something that's really important. Before you go to make lapsi, you need to make sure that you have a whisk. Using this whisk in making lapsi is really essential because if you don't use a whisk, then you might get a lot of lumps within your lapsi, and we really don't want that. So now that I put this flour through the fine mesh strainer, I want to go ahead and whisk it a bit because if your flour is still warm or hot, what's going to happen is when you go ahead and you add your milk in, it's going to get very clumpy. And remember, we're trying to avoid lumps. So I'm touching my flour just to see if it's cool enough, and I'm feeling that it's cool enough. So I'm going to go in with my sugar here, and I'm going to whisk that in until it's properly combined. Now, adding in your sugar also helps to cool down the flour a bit because, you know, you're adding in another ingredient that's not wet and you're still mixing. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and start adding in my milk. Now you're also going to see when you're whisking your milk in that it's very easy to whisk into this flour. Being that the flour is parched, it's very dry. So it's going to take this liquid very easily. So I sort of created a little well in the middle, and I'm whisking and whisking that milk in until it's properly combined. I'm going to go ahead and do this with my whole milk also, and I'm going to try to do this as slowly as possible to avoid lumps. Before I go ahead and put this lapsi to cook, I want to talk about the sugar content. As you guys may know, if you were using this in puja, you would not be able to taste it before you offer it. So my recommendation is to either go ahead and put sugar as per your taste, or if you're a little iffy about the amount of sugar that you want to add in, go ahead and put in the amount that I've left in the description box down below, because to me it's the perfect amount. Once you finish whisking up your mixture, it's time to go ahead and start the cooking process. In my pan here, I've heated up my ghee on a very low heat, and I'm going to go ahead and pour my mixture through a fine mesh strainer again. The reason why I'm doing this is to go ahead and catch any additional lumps that may have formed while I was mixing. Remember, we're trying to avoid these lumps at all costs, so this is why I strained it a second time. So when I put it into the pan, as you guys can see, it didn't bubble up at all and it did not sizzle. You really want this to happen because if it starts to sizzle on you, that mixture can start to coagulate or get very thick, and then the lumps start to form, and then your problems start to happen. So I made sure that it was on a low heat, and you just want to go in with your whisk and keep whisking this mixture until it gets nice and thick. This can take anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. Now I'm going in with the cinnamon stick, and this is totally optional. It's not very traditional, but if you want to, go ahead and add it in. This is what my mixture looks like after about 5 minutes of cooking, and you guys are really going to get an arm workout after making this lapsi, but it is so worth the effort. You really want to take the time to make it right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep whisking, and I did say 15 to 20 minutes for the whole cooking time, but honestly, depending on your stove or the type of pot that you're using, it could take a little longer or it could take a little less. Just have some patience, keep whisking, and then I'll show you guys the finished product. After about 20 minutes of cooking, this is what my lapsi looked like. Now remember, I kept my stove on a very low heat and I kept whisking the whole time so this way I could avoid any lumps. At this point, being that my lapsi is pretty much done, I'm going to switch back over to my spoon and I'm going to go ahead and add in my raisins. Now, if I didn't mention this before, the raisins are optional. Some people prefer not to have them in their lapsi, but my family really likes to put raisins in theirs, so this is why I added it. So at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and remove it from the pot, and you can go ahead and serve it. So some people like their lapsi to be a little thicker than others. Some prefer it to be a little thinner than others. I prefer to have it in this stage because if I were to serve it like a few hours from now, when lapsi sits, it tends to get a little thick. So you don't want to cook it too thick in your pot, and then when you go to serve it, it's very, very thick and tacky. That's really not what you want. Look how nice and smooth my lapsi came out. I'm gonna be honest, guys, it's not the most appealing dish, but it tastes so good and I really cannot wait to dig into this. So before I go, I just want to show you guys how we would serve the lapsi. So what you'd want to do is take one of your puris, or you could do this with Dosti Roti also, and you're gonna go ahead and take a little bit of that lapsi and go ahead and slather it inside of the puri, and you'd go ahead and fold it up and you could eat it like a little sandwich. You could also go ahead and put the puri on the plate, put the lapsi on the side, and go ahead and keep dipping that puri into the lapsi and eating it like that. Honestly, do it the way that you prefer. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so yet. And please comment down below on what you guys would like me to make next. Also, please give my aunt, my grandmother, and my great-grandmother some love in the comments down below. They're the ones that showed me how to make this delicious dish. Once again, thanks for watching.